we're on. And we were talking about, so I'll just turn the TV down. We were talking about time spent in Russia. It was in 2019. And basically our work was I got a special invitation by a couple of people, and they're direct students of Sensei Steven Seagal. I call him Sensei because I thought he was really down-to-earth person, really cool, you know, and he really taught, you know, which was excellent. And so, you know, I appreciated him as a teacher. They call him Shihan, which is a higher.
Yeah,
You know. So, yeah, and so I was always grateful that they invited me, and it really felt like one of those old classical kung fu movies, because I came up all in black, right? And I was the only Wing Chun practitioner actually doing the seminars, right? There was Sifu Samuel Kwok, who was teaching Sensei Seagal Wing Chun. And so that was really cool. And the whole, can't remember how many days, but it was a few days, right? We stayed there. And one of the first people I encountered was Remy Hegelson. And I'm not sure what grade he is, but he's fairly high grade, getting close to master level. He might be master level now. But a warrior, and he's really, really tough guy. Right? He's done a lot of security work, done a lot of military work, stuff like that. And also a really down-to-earth person. If you ever look in my historic archives channel, there's a time where we do a trade-off, and so he wants to do some cheer sale with me. I swear that's the first time I ever touched hands with him. So because I went to Russia, I had a couple of run-ins with a couple of the guys that drank too much vodka. I was on edge. I'm thinking, yeah, this is going to try and make me look stupid. And so I responded with a hyper-reactive reaction, fully controlled and everything, because I wanted to sort of say, look, you know, I'm for real. I'm not going to fuck around. So you get any close, these are going to hit you, you know. And he understood that, but he wasn't there to make me look stupid. So that was my initial fear. Yeah. And then I got to trust him, and it was really cool, you know. And so that was Remy, and the person who probably was the most authoritative in getting it realised that I could go was his direct student. Her name's Letizia, and she lives in France, and she's been studying it since she was a kid, so she basically grew up with him, teaching her and her family, so they were all into Aikido. And so it was special because I sort of looked at everything as a large community, at least from my idealistic point of view, right? I'm sure they had within their own fractions, you know, politics and bureaucracies like a lot of schools have, but they were very well organized. They had people from very high level standards of combat experience, you know, and even from MMA, and also from different levels of security and military. And I was shocked. I saw a lot of the portfolio of his security teachings, and he's teaching elite forces, Russian forces, how to use Aikido. The thing is that he's sort of modernized. He's got sort of like the approach that we have. Yeah, he's very expansive with his Aikido, right? So it's not really much to do with what you see in the movies. I mean, that's a byproduct and the most beautiful parts where you see the throws and stuff. But when you get into the close contact, in a lot of ways for me it seemed like Wing Chun, at least the way it was evolved in the European fraction of Germany, right? They had so many similarities. Stepping on the foot, striking, you know, trapping, that sort of thing. They use techniques that were similar to Bongsa. Then they go into levers, which, you know, you've got to be pretty good to do what they do. And they do it really quickly and have complete control on your arm and in the body. And through controlling the wrist, they'll put you down. But if you got to understand the context of it. It's not like someone's going to be waving their hand in front of you to grab it and stuff, right? Yeah. Like, I mean, you take into consideration that you had Fedor Emelianenko's brother was there training Alexandra, and he's like a bit taller than Steven Seagal. So he's a beast. He's a beast. If you ever seen that guy fight, he's an animal. He's a fucking animal. Sorry for the French. And it's pretty serious stuff. It's a shame because they are, I suppose, a little bit like Wing Chun. They're very secretive. They don't like to show a lot of their stuff. But you'd be surprised at a short range combat level, how many strikes they have. Because you normally don't see the strike. You usually see them doing that movement where he gets them into the neck, throws them down, right? Mm-hmm. But they got heaps of strikes, and it's like Wing Chun. They use the whole arm as a weapon, not just the punch, which is cool. And but then what happened? Was the second or third day, I got a private meeting with him, and so that was excellent. Went into this room, and so he had only like his closest students all with him sitting down. It was like an interview, not a cross-examination, but almost. I felt a bit intimidated by it all, and I just gave him my whole life story when I started when I was 6 and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And one of the guys that got me into the meeting was a good friend of his as well, which I was grateful. And so he was happy with the way everything went. And he liked it because he liked my story, because then I told him at the end, well, look, I sort of like went my own way because I didn't really like the bureaucracy, the politics within the Wing Chun community. And plus, I have my own outlook, And he sort of encouraged that. And he also really loved the fact, because he was connected with Sifu Samuel Kwok, which, by the way, also had private lessons with him in Russia. He really loves the lineage. He loves the Yip Man lineage, the sons, and the whole dynasty behind it. So he was really right with that. And I'm lucky because I started with a direct lineage, which... if you don't know much about Grandmaster Chu Shung Tin, who's my Seagal, I think he stayed with him close to 20 years as a personal student. Oh, okay. Yeah. So, and they all know each other with these things. And so it was a good experience. Even got to see a full contact fight live right in the middle of the hotel against 2 high-ranking Aikido masters. And that was bloody funny. Jesus Christ. I never thought that would have happened, but they sort of said, yeah, come on, you can't do that with Aikido, let's try it. And he goes, sure, I'll try. And when I say they were big pieces, like they were top pieces in the Russian Federation, right? And I was, at the end, I even got a message from Sifu Samuel Kwok because found out about it later. I was able to sort of like be the arbitrary, the referee, and break it up eventually. But in the process, I swear I saw one guy get grabbed in the lock and he slamming his freaking head into one of the poles, one of the columns of marble. Yeah. He had to go dong, dong. And I'm like, come on, man, stop, let it go. Yeah, so.
But the Russians are really with it. They're really with it.
They, like one night, you Italian. He kept putting his hand on my head like this, And I was bored, I wasn't wearing a cap. I said, just give it a rest, man. Hey, you Italian, like Italian. And so I got him in an upgrade. Stop doing that. And he goes, okay, sorry. He was really drunk. In the morning when he came to class, I said, you gonna stop it with the vodka or what? But all I wanted to say out of all this was that later we had like an after party greeting in one of the bars of the hotel, right? He sat there almost the whole night signing autographs. We were giving him small gifts. He sat, talked with us. It's really cool, down to earth. You know, so it's sad that part of him isn't seen, and I know he gets a lot of bad raps, but you know he did do a few things as far as legalities are concerned, which I don't really want to go into, but for the good of where he was living, like in America.
Mm-hmm.
And did he go against the mob? Yeah, he did, but he enforced what he believed legally. I mean, it was a scary period because the family he was involved with was like one of the most powerful mafia families around. So who knows why he left? Maybe it's just to live more serene life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he was getting a very bad rap.
Yeah.
In America, but one thing that you can't take away is with him is what he's done. Like as far as like, what is it? No Japanese family has ever given credit to an American like they did him.
Yeah.
You know, for his, like, meaning he had to put work in. Like he couldn't have just, you know, the Japanese, you know, not that you can't buy your way there, but he put a lot of work into being recognized by them. And, you know, I think it's, you know, his aura is what kind of rubbed people the wrong way more than anything. Sometimes he gets into this, you know, above, like he has an aura that he's above everybody. That's what kind of rubbed people the wrong way. I love Steven Seagal from the movie still. I ain't gonna lie. Like he was at one time, he was the action star. Like
he was.
He brought more money to the Keto than the Keto could ever wish for. You know, they really need to be very thankful for what he did. What he did with the Keto, like Donnie Yen did for Ip Man. I mean, for Wing Chun. With Ip Man.
That's true.
And he did it for real too. He didn't do it as like just a movie star. He was actually like a Jason Statham, like somebody that really did it and then got recognized as a movie star. But because I remember he was doing a show where I think he was like a police officer.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, which was crazy. But what was so insane was his gun skill was insane. Right. He was really good. I think he like shot the tip of a match head off, like just his draw. Like he was for real. Like you can't fake what he was doing. And you know, like I said, I think he got a bad rap after that he went against the mob. Like that was you know.
Yeah, that was a bit of a tough break.
That was a tough break for him.
You know, he's an ambassador for peace for the Russian President Vladimir Putin, which, you know, maybe isn't the best thing to talk about, seeing that, you know, half the world is at war with Russia. But I'm talking about Steven Seagal, you know, so there's other things that I could have put in. I think what was one of the highlights. So at one point we had to demonstrate our power, right? And again, I feel like I was the only Oriental type guy representing Wing Chun, even though I'm Italian. And we had to go and demonstrate our power punches, right? You know, on those wooden planks with a rope tied around it.
Maki Robert boy.
And so, you know, everybody had to go there. They had to salute to everybody, salute to Steven Seagal, and then demonstrate your punches, right? And I was so hyped up and nervous, I put all my power into it, and I wasn't grounded. So I punched, and my body went bang. Oh, shit, you idiot. And so I got angry, and I did it again, boom, another 2 times, and I hit it really hard. I thought I was quite proud of the power I did after I was grounded. Bowed, and then went back in. But yeah, it was a bit of a thrill, because it also happened, like, you remember in the Bruce Lee movie, Enter the Dragon, and he goes, "Why you no wear uniform?" I swear that happened to me. Because around the last days that I had to attend, I was always in my Wing Chun uniform, which was black, right? Black jacket, black pants. And everybody was traditional Japanese, like, you know, the white tops, wore the white gis, and they had those, you know, flannel pants that looked like skirts, whatever, but that's what they were wearing. And they wouldn't let me in. I said, "I'm Wing Chun, man." He goes, "No, not good uniform." And I said, I don't know what I did, but managed to get someone to translate. At the end, when he understood the logo, that it was Wing Chun, I said, okay. So I went in. But they wouldn't let me through at one stage. Overall, really good experience. They do this type of chisel sitting on the ground. That's pretty mind-blowing.
No, that's different.
Yeah. And they connect it to also throwing, so they got like chisel on the ground, and they throw people from that position. So, like, they're very grounded with their energy, And, like, seriously, if he gets you in one of his arm grabs, it's very hard to get out of.
I'm pretty sure, he's put a lot of years, like, as I said, the styles didn't come from God. Like, man created all of these styles. So the burden of proof isn't on the style, it's on how much work you've put into the style. Yeah. And you can't take nothing away from him. There's actual proof of how much he's put into Aikido. Yeah. So if he gets his hands on you, it's not going to be an easy getaway.
Yeah, but it's like he knows how to feel everything that's happening within your joint system. And so, like, if he needs to be gentle, because maybe you're not as flexible as the other guys, he understands it. He just feels it, and down you go. Nothing far out. That's cool. Because I let myself be thrown, because I really wanted to feel. And if you allow it, you just try and go with the flow to understand what he's doing. It's quite incredible.
Yeah, even what he did on the movies was incredible. Like I said, a lot of that, what I give Aikido is like their flow. Like, it's almost like a Tai Chi flow, then they reverse it. Like, they take you one way and then they reverse it real quick. Yeah. And it definitely caused a flip or a break, done right. And like I said, a lot of the stuff that he was doing in the movies, of course, the movies, they need bigger pictures for the movie, but you can see he can really he can really take you there. Like, and he's knowledgeable. He's looked like he studied boxing, he studied kickboxing. Like, it's not just like Aikido he knows. You can tell he's a man of many arts. Because, even like I said, when I seen the gun shit, I was like, oh my God. Like, he was teaching a cop, he was getting the cop ready for the shooting exam.
Yeah, I remember those. I can't remember what it was called, Steven Seagal and something.
He was like a sheriff or something. Yeah.
That was a cool show. I used to watch that.
Yeah,
and we were close to getting them to come to Italy we're going to have an event called A Night with Steven Seagal, and then COVID broke out and all that. So,
and he has to be brave to go over there with Russia. That must have been a brave move.
Yeah.
Of a Russian citizens, as far as with how America is with Russia right now, but Vladimir Putin has to be one of the manliest men on the planet. I don't care what nobody said. The man rides horseback bare with no shirt on. Like, he is like the poster child of masculinity men. So if he accepts you, you got to have some type of realness to you, because he's not going to accept too many frauds.
That's true.
You're going to have to really be somewhat the real thing to get a pass from Putin. Like, they was always talking about if Vladimir had to fight Trump, he would destroy Trump. Like, Vladimir would destroy Trump in seconds. And so I believe that, he's only going to have the realest men around him. So salute to Steven Seagal for being able to take that jump.
Salute Shihan Steven Seagal.
Salute.